Hi, welcome to the first episode. If you're wondering what this program is all about, well, it's not so much a program. I would say it's more of a diary of my own. A lot of time when we are consuming stories, right, whether we are reading a story, whether we are watching a story, whether we are experiencing a story and finding ourselves in the middle of it, I think long after, we consume the stories, what stays with us is the characters. Some really endearing ones, some that make us think about the nature of human behavior and human existence, and some that just make us wish the world would be a different place, without these characters. So the one character I really want to talk about on, this Chef Gabriel, right? I think, a lot of us have just finished watching Emily in Paris a couple of days ago. And, while the season has been lukewarm for a lot of us, the one thing that's really intriguing is that, season after season, episode after episode, Gabriel continues to sort of, I wouldn't say disappoint is a strong word rather, but he continues to sort of be this, confused person who's really, on one end of the spectrum, he's so confident, he's so certain about what he wants out of life when it comes to his profession. But when it comes to his personal life, right, if he feels such a strong pull to Emily, season after season, why do we see him doing really nothing about it? Rather, he's, seems to be running in the opposite direction. Every decision of his, his actions, nothing seems aligned to that, right? And yet somewhere, the writers of the show feel that he's got to be there, in the background. There's got to be this undercurrent of hope. I don't know. I mean, a lot of us were rooting for him, right, in the earlier seasons. And it just makes you wonder, as a people, right, as a generation, are we, no longer looking for heroes that are just, clear, right, about what they want and then they go after it, right? But it's interesting thing because, on one end of the spectrum, you have movies like Dhurandhar and, characters like Ranveer's character, they're so alpha, they're so all of it. On one end, we're very happy to consume those characters and those stories, and on the other hand, there's a part of us that sort of relates to the situationship that a character like, Chef Gabriel sort of lends to Emily's life, right? I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think he's waiting for the right moment? Do you think he's truly moved on? The back and forth, right? And to be honest, at some point one does realize that it's not just him, it's also Emily, right? I mean, both of them are just like back and forth on the same moment. It's hard to tell, right, whether it's the past, present, or the future. I mean, I don't know, like, are we living in an age where, our characters are, forget being inspirational, but even in terms of relatability, the bar is so low and so unromantic, so just going with the flow. I mean, the bar is just, going where the waves take it, and yet every time, they are closer to making a different decision, they somehow back out. And yeah, I mean, it's really something to ponder upon. It somehow took me to the characters that, Tagore used to feature in a lot of his short stories, right? The men, for that time and that period, right? One often tends to think that, patriarchy meant men who are a lot more rigid or resolute in their ways or set in their ways. But when one reads his stories, right, be it any of his stories, take Kabuli Wala for instance, right, there's so many shades of humanity that you see with his characters, right. It's not just the protagonist has to fit in a box. He's just human. He's just going along with what he's just taking what life throws at him, and on days he's defeated, on days he's a survivor, on days maybe he's a winner, and then there is joy to be felt, right, with these characters, right. They may not always make the decisions that we're expecting them to make as readers, as watchers. We want them to take on a certain path, but they do what feels right in the moment to them, at the cost of risking disappointing us. And isn't that beautiful, that across time, across cultures, we have characters that sort of speak to us, despite not saying what we would expect him to say, but still choosing to do what stand in their own truth, right. That's not an easy thing when we consider the pressures today that media professionals face, whether it is a show's writer, and the fact that they went past all those pressures to sort of create a character that feels right and authentic to them, right. To me, when I thought deeper about this, that felt like a win. That gave me reason to sort of continue believing in the character, and not giving up on the characters, whether it's Gabriel or Emily. Perhaps, they're not meeting my expectations in terms of what where we are expecting the show to go, and it's not yet answering the hard truths, but maybe someday it will, or maybe someday it won't. But to stand in one's own truth, right, that itself is something cool, I think. So in the next episode of this diary, I want to talk to you guys about another character from Emily in Paris, and I'm not telling you yet who it is, but stay tuned. And if this kind of resonated with you, please feel free to stay connected, do subscribe, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.